For over a year, we have been following young individuals embrace spoken word. The Warren Youth Project was approached by Bounce Back to deliver a pilot around vocational skills and confidence through creativity. This documentary will show the Warren's spoken word collective groundbreaking journey from low-level confidence to performing in front of thousands of people at festivals, whilst gaining employment and accessing education. What you are about to see is the power of creativity and how this can free the barriers often put in place by traditional education and private sector institutions. The Warren has always been a creative outlet, and the young group you are about to see have only just begun. But what even is spoken word?
Well, at first, to me, spoken word was just poetry. That's how I always defined it. I never really knew much about it. But when I started writing, I realised that I'd been writing spoken word without realising it. It's only when people told me this was spoken word, that's when I understood it. So I suppose spoken word you can only really describe once you've done it yourself, and I'd say it's what you're feeling inside.
I think spoken word's hard to define because you can't really categorise it, but I'd say it's almost like lyricism. Like, if you can imagine a world without music, that's where spoken word would come into play. It'd be like what the music industry is now. That'd be dominated by spoken word. That's how I think of it in my head.
So to me, spoken word seems to be more personal, I guess, than other forms of creative writing.
I define spoken word as because it's helped me with the way I write my lyrics and the way I say them are different.
Spoken word is a tradition in performing mostly poetry and short prose in front of an audience. So it is kind of the stand-up version of being a poet. And in that it's very direct, it's very powerful, and it comes across as very authentic. So people stand up there, they speak their poem, they explain a little bit about the poems, maybe where it comes from, and then the audience reacts like they would do at a gig, at a stand-up show, very directly, and you can then incorporate that into what you're doing. It's the most direct way, really, of engaging for a writer with an audience.
Have the homeless always nestled within plain sight? Have the destitute been forced out of the shadows and made to come out into the light? Have their squalors been converted into homes for families of dependents? Have their faces been morphed by poverty into looks of despair without resplendence? Have they always dwelled within that peripheral vision of those with excess fortune? Have they always huddled under that same abandoned shop awning, fighting the exhaustion? Have I hurried past them in the manner that makes them feel strange? Have I been so content to ignore their pleas for change? Or have my eyes merely adjusted to this darkness and allowed me to spare them the attention they have fought for so long, yet regardless?
The young man you have just seen perform accessed the group with several barriers. Prior to this, Andrew was a very isolated individual. He did not work in groups or speak with others. But what was the reason this group appealed to young people? And does Hull need a youth-led spoken word group?
Well, the spoken word group appealed to me because there's nothing like that in Hull. There's no sort of movement there's poets everywhere. It's a very poetic city, but there's not really a collective or a community of it where you can sort of work with each other and sort of develop from each other. So it sort of intrigued me to join it because I was with a community of my people, like who I can relate to and prosper with.
Well, it wasn't really my decision, really. Just people heard my work. I'd just send it out to friends and people interested. And they always said to me, "Oh, you've got a good talent for this." I never really believed it. But then one day someone said, "There's a spoken word group, do you want to join?" And I thought, what else have I got to lose? And now here I am being interviewed.
Well, I got told about it, and just from friends, and at the time I was sort of looking into learning, I suppose, joining a group with more people where I could sort of reach them with my writing and just like grow, I suppose, as a writer.
I just wanted to come somewhere where I could show other people what I'm actually capable of doing in my words, and then someone said, the Warren, they have some spoken word and you can come and they'll help you. So I just decided to come.
I think having a spoken word collective in the Warren is a hugely important thing. We live in a very, very complex, fast, often crazy world, and things can get lost in that. And one of the things that very often gets lost is young people and their voice and what they think and what really bothers them and what they have to say. It's one of the first things to get lost. And what spoken word here has done with Joe and the team all around working with the young people have given them that voice back. They've given them the opportunity to really project where they're at. And the end result has been jaw-droppingly good. Every piece I've seen emerge, I only get to see it later on, and it's just been amazing, it's been powerful, it's been moving, and I think it demonstrates what young people really are capable of once they're given the right support and the chance and the choice to be involved in something like that. It can be an amazing result, and this project is proof of that.
Flex it. What's the deal? What's the deal with hiding our undisclosed future behind a 6-letter word? She starts her morning with sunny side up eggs on whole wheat bread. He's unable to get up until the afternoon, spends his morning in bed, and while she's attaching her Swarovski earrings that beam like spotlights, leading her into a solo act of tax-avoiding turnouts and poverty pride pliés, he's too afraid to move his feet. Not wanting to tiptoe into the soul-destroying performance of a young man's tragedy. He answered every casting call besides this one. In the interval, they can both be found staring into dressing room mirrors. The lady, posting passive-aggressive political tweets, he is reading from the back of a crumpled-up receipt, rehearsing the same lines out loud prior to his 20-second job interview. Why do you want to work here? The thing is, I do, but my postgraduate plans plummeted, and in order to just get by, I need to dream of a life where I live and not just survive. People will make assumptions on the position I'm taking due to the colour of my skin or my ethnic origin. He ain't British. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? He gulps. His eyes pulse around the room, looking for a clue. He's broke at 22. In 5 years, he might be through, and before he knows it to be true, from the right wing, he's thrown to centre stage. Turning to the audience, he absorbs their humiliating sympathy. In 5, I'll wake up dead. Or in this dead-end job where I'll be living off ready meals and retail reductions, a life as dramatic as a West End production. My relationships won't function because I won't be able to afford the meds. That's straighten out my head because they'll have put the NHS in the fate of our pockets. He paces downstage. The weight of my debt wrecking ball will smash through the buildings of businesses I grew up with, and the crane driver, the thief of nostalgia. Are there any questions you want to ask me? Who bought my destiny and threw it on his shelf? Who charged me for my intellect and prospers in their wealth? Who thought of the idea to bestow our nation with fear, and who thought we would stay silent? We can't ignore the eviction notices through our doors and the minus in our bank accounts. They'd be daft to believe we haven't got something to shout about. You've made a division in the seas, unlike Moses, you displease, and how can our kingdom be united If we turn our backs on union, Mrs. Prime Minister, how could you be so sinister?
You simply cannot deny Jody's natural talent and ability in this medium. Across the year, I've seen her knock rooms out with her prose and performance. All the individuals across this group have grown in confidence, but how do we think that taking part in this has changed them?
I mean, the way they have been coached by Jo to come from a point where some of them have never really read out their poems to a single person, to standing on a stage at a festival and speaking to thousands of people, that's really, really impressive.
So for me, one of the privileges of being able to take part in this is watching how the young people have developed from young people with an interest in spoken word into becoming professional artists and performers. So Substance was a series of events organised by City of Culture, which was looking to the future of Hull. Each of the participants presented a new spoken word piece inspired by the themes and topics around Brexit and politics that we'd been looking at, and they also had the opportunity to have a debate with Emma Hardy MP and Cathy McArdle from the British Council about these issues.
We could see they were incredibly confident. I mean, one of the things I'm passionate about is oracy and promoting speaking and listening. I mean, in particular, this young woman called Jody stood out with the contribution that she made. And it was quite powerful. I mean, people were almost slightly taken aback in a good way by what they talked about and their experiences and their views of the world. And that made a difference, I think. You could see that people were really listening.
I don't know, to be honest, it just made me feel more happier inside. It's taken my mind off a lot of other things. It's more focused on this one thing. So it's making me less angrier, because then there's more things to focus on.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've grown in general, because when I first came here I was a socialist wreck, wouldn't speak to anyone. But now not only do I have the confidence to write about my life, I also have confidence to talk about it with people, so thanks for that.
Well, this opportunity, it sounds really stupid to say it, but it's completely changed who I am as a person, or maybe not changed who I am, but made me find out who I am, because I've realised that I'm sort of born to be a social person. You know, some people are like born to be leaders or like labourers, but I think I've found where I am, and it's to be socialising and meeting people, and with my poetry it's allowed me to sort of start a conversation and start many different conversations with people.
Right, so I'm standing in this room, everything around me seems doom and gloom, but as I look outside this window, everything feels like it's coming in windows. Now I'm coming back and I open a door, things that I know, what about the law? But maybe if I think about it in a different perspective, people will look at me like I'm getting vexed. Now I'm doing things that I didn't want to picture. Why don't you put this in a scene and put you in a different frame? Before we're coming back, I'm in a different game. Now I'm coming back and it's part of this rave. Now I'm coming back, I'm popping them pills, coming back and I ain't doing it still. I'm thinking, what am I doing? This is like what I'm saying, man, why I'm gluing. Now I'm getting stuck to the paper. Now I'm coming back and I don't think my label's pager, but I think that I'm coming back hot. Don't think that I've lost the pot. Now I'm doing shit, man, I sat in the park. I'm getting high as the dog and I'm watching it bark. Now I'm coming back and I'll release the dogs and I'll release the hounds. I'm coming back and I listen to the barks and screams. I don't give a fuck about you and your TV screens. Maybe you laugh at me like I'm on screen. Maybe I'm looking at the trips. Don't give a fuck about you and your crips. Maybe I'm out here making it vexed. Now I'm doing things that people want to respect. Yo, now I'm out here risking it gold. People call me a gold digger. I just say nah, man, I'm a gold getter. Now I'm doing shit, man, I'm a gold digger. Maybe they look at me and think, why have you given that away? Are you an Indian giver? I don't give a fuck about you and your mothers. Don't give a fuck about you and your life. Why would you be hesitating me on my time? Maybe I'm here, maybe I'm gone. Now it's coming back and return to the dawn. Maybe I'm back and maybe I'm trapped. No, don't give a fuck about you and your crap. Yo, maybe I'm in this booth. Don't give a fuck, man, just tell you in the room. Maybe I'm here, maybe I'm gone. Now I'm coming back and it's the done. Now I'm doing things and I think I'm here. Now I don't care, I see it in the fear. See it in the fear of your eyes, and then I see it in the deep in the fear that belies. Now we're doing things and you think that you're lying. Don't give a fuck, man, you ain't a tiger, you're a lion. Now I'm out here, now I'm out here. Don't give a fuck, man, I'm walking across the pier. Maybe my brain tells me, am I gonna jump? Or am I just like a sweet, the flump?
We're drawing close to the end of this documentary, but what's next for this talented bunch of individuals?
I thought the project has gone extremely well, and it's been a voyage of self-discovery, not just for the young people, but for me. And what's really exciting for me now is what happens next, and the fact that we've got these young people who've engaged with part of this process who are going to be able to work with the next set of young people and work in a mentorship role and give them more control over how it works.
Nothing went through my brain at the first time, but when I got on stage I was like, shit, I've got to do it now. I can't go back down them steps. It's got me to a position where no matter if it's 2 or 3 people, I can just build up from 2 or 3 people to go to 10 to 20 people and then eventually thousands, just to express my world to their world and just see if they can combine together, if you know what I mean.
I think it's kind of made a more positive impact on me, that I can write. I have a new way to write my feelings out and whatever's going on, to turn it into something creative. Maybe one day I'd like to maybe get a novel or something published. So I'll continue with the blogging and see where it all goes from there.
Well, right now I've got a lot on my plate to go along with the spoken word performances. I'm writing a novel, I've come up with a sketch show for radio, and I'm also writing zines in this very shop.
Jody of that group, I mean, she's very successful now in what she does. I mean, she's been invited to join the women's writing group here in Hull as a full member. What I quite like as the kind of an outcome for her is that she is now becoming a little bit more choosy about which things she's going to do. So she's developed a lot more confidence, I think, in saying, this is not how I want to do it. These are my terms, and this is the type of writing I want to do.
Many of the individuals within this group have embraced spoken word so much so that they are now performing at various events going forward. They'll be working with the BBC, they'll be performing at Freedom Festival, and they'll be working with British Science Festival. All these things are off the back of this project, and the confidence built and instilled through a creative medium. Going back to the remit of this project, every young person who has accessed this project has progressed, whether this be in employment, education, or creativity outlets. They have all gone on to do something. Andrew and Jody are now in work, Frank has accessed education, Josh has now recorded music, Jack has taken on apprenticeships and worked alongside others in festivals, and Kelly is maintaining a blog online.